The latest intergenerational report outlines expectations the care economy's share of GDP will double over the next 4 decades. It's driven by Australia's growing and ageing population. Joining me to discuss more of the implications for the aged care sector is CEO of the Global Centre for Modern Ageing, Julianne Parkinson. Thanks for your time. A lot of the stats we're getting are raw figures on sort of ages of population, but fewer and fewer of us are in physical jobs, our health's improving. Are we going to realistically see people working a lot later into life, and so this whole tax burden might be a bit overdone?
Well, I think, Tom, it's not so much just about the tax burden itself, but it is a reality that we are living longer than ever before and more of us on the planet than ever before, and that's reflected here in Australia. What's interesting is I think for us to be open to this changing mindsets that people have, that some people may need to work for longer, some people may choose to work for longer, and some people may be for both of those reasons.
Yeah, one of the other big things is all the different studies into brain health and warding off Alzheimer's, that retirement, especially sudden retirement, this old-fashioned element of working 5 days full-time and then going to zero, I think it's just going to be done less and less, and there could be benefits across the place. I know there's exceptions for some of the physical labour, but as I said, plenty of other jobs people do don't involve that.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, there's going to be a change in not just individuals' mindsets, but also for organisations and governments to change the way we think about workforce engagement and transitions. People will have and choose to, I believe, into the future, want to be engaged in work, but it's work that they'd like to be part of that design. And I think this is a new frontier for inclusive workforces of the future, which include older adults as a really sensible and intelligent component of the change we need in Australia to enable us to achieve the transformation and the prosperity. I believe, and our organisation and many others see, that older adults contribute to the prosperity of Australia going forward, as distinct from being seen as an economic and a social burden. It's how we arrive at policies and changes in our workplace and work practices that will open up these opportunities. People working in more flexible environments and perhaps in ways that they didn't work or in vocations that they didn't work in previous times. And that includes paid and unpaid roles.
Well, you say unpaid, you're tapping into something there, I must admit. I'm not sure where we'd be, me and my wife, without the grandparents. And this is another thing, that it's such a cultural shift, if you like, that when people do get more time, they're putting so much more time into grandkids, and that's helping affordability on childcare. But, we talk about childcare workers and shortages there, that again can be a positive part of that puzzle, I suppose.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we see older adults playing an amazing and often silent roles. You cite their engagements with families, but volunteering more broadly into community is a huge contribution that older adults play, and not to mention the financial support they've provided by the way of bank and mum and dad.
Yeah, no, amen to all the assistance there, not going to question any of it. Aged care is obviously a big one. Is there something just fundamental that needs to sort of transform here? Because there's been countless stories of residents not happy, workers, there's a real worker shortage, so presumably they think things could be done in a better way. Do we have almost an old school approach to how we're doing this?
Well, I certainly agree that we're not thinking about it in its current form, and we're not alive, really, to the changing needs and wants of older Australians as they're choosing to live. So ageing well is no longer an aspiration, it's an expectation. And I don't think we're listening acutely enough with evidence and informing product developers and organisations of these changing needs and wants. So yes, we have, definitely obvious and evident challenges for our ageing, and particularly for our frail. But let's be reminded too that there's a broader group of older Australians. Around 94% of people over the age of 65 live at home. And that's a number that's not often socialised in more public domain. So I think that's super important to realise that for the percentage of people who are living in aged care, and we do need to be addressing, as we have been through the Royal Commission and other concerted efforts across the sector. There is a larger number of older Australians coming down the line, so to speak, who are wanting to live and age well at home. And that's where I think this emergence of aged tech or technology-enabled solutions sitting alongside, that are co-designed, sitting alongside older people's aspirations, where product developers learn and test and validate what's required, and that includes for the workforce that will be part of the solution to supply these services and products into people's homes, creates enormous opportunities, not by way of just a new consumer market to be thinking about with vibrancy to improve our economy, but also the broader roles in digital change and digital education that we can provide, where older adults add to not just the workforce for aged care or even care services in the home, but the broader contribution to the Australian economy, including high growth sectors such as defence.
So you allude to, I think the stats, 94% of older Australians or retired Australians are living at home, not in aged care. That's where people want to stay if they can. Obviously, you're talking about having good amenities nearby and so on. But what about tech? Does tech need to be better for old people, or old people need to be better at tech?
A little of both, but this is a great opportunity. So yes, we're supportive of digital skills being a continuing investment that we make in ourselves and that others make in us as we as Australians age, but equally a lost opportunity by product developers for not perhaps designing products with older adults in mind. I mean, as the intergenerational report clearly states, older adults are a growing and fast-paced consumer cohort. Now, most products haven't been designed with older adults at the centre of the frame, and that's particularly true of technology products. But therein lies the opportunity to work alongside and co-design and test with older adults to ensure that these new and future products are fit for purpose.
Gillian Parkinson, thank you for your time.